to start, I think that Hollywood and sort of the story business faces the same challenge that the tech business does in terms of diversity. If you look at protagonists in all of your favorite movies or TV shows, and the same goes for literature, they probably have, I haven't seen statistics on it, but their protagonists are really dominated by white male heroes. And I think that that's a problem for the same reason that you just brought up. You know, if you're only recruiting from people you know, and if you're going to, if you're in an educational institution where you don't necessarily have role models that you feel you might identify with, that's a really, really big issue. And as not only the US, not only is a leader in building new technologies, but we're also the global leader in telling stories. We you know, the stories that are made in Hollywood, the stories that come out of New York publishing houses, really dominate the world in terms of the mythology that allows us to make sense of the world and make sense of our place in it. So you know, I'm obviously a young white male, so I'm like probably the least qualified person to speak to this, but having grown up in Oakland, it always really frustrated me to not see you know, my personal group of friends represented in the companies that were successful or the stories that I enjoyed as a reader or a viewer.
Every single industry, every single sector can choose diversity and inclusion or not. And I think when we talk about Hollywood, when we talk about Silicon Valley, when you talk about Wall Street, any of those institutions, they have a self-serving mythology. They believe that their systems are meritocratic. They believe that they have objective criteria for hiring. They believe that they've got objective criteria for, you know, picking the best script. It's like BS, right?
Freada, sharing economy, what do you make of it? In terms of tech for good, is it the solution or the problem?
It's both. And again, there are no silver bullets here. There aren't silver bullets in terms of companies. There aren't silver bullets in terms of diversity and inclusion. This is hard, nuanced, complicated work. So for instance, and full disclosure, we are investors in Uber. And
I hope you were very early.
We were very early. And we are also, and we have talked to Uber for many years about ways in which we think things could be better, could be different. There are other models of, so for instance, also, one of the companies that we invested in and that is involved in the cleaning and office services of this building is a company called Managed by Q. They have a completely different approach. They have a full employment, full benefits, path upward for employees. Completely different business model than Uber does. We talked to Uber. One of the things that an Uber could do, should do, is maybe there isn't a business model putting every Uber driver on the planet on full salary and benefits, but there are also opportunities. For instance, a lot of Uber drivers that I've talked to are there trying to do things like help pay for their kids' education. Well, so I've talked to Uber about why not underwrite things like Smash Academy in every city, that there's a Smash Academy, and there are hundreds of programs all over the planet where Uber drivers, where a benefit would be that your child gets an opportunity that maybe you didn't have. One of the things that nonprofits aren't very good at is understanding business models and what the needs of businesses are, because then we could make much more realistic demands. I think there's a lot that business can learn from nonprofits, and I happen to be one of those folks that thinks that there's a lot that nonprofits can learn from business.